Hey yo, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and look, by now we all know whenever Jessica Tarlov's mouth is moving, she's complaining about something, and Greg Gutfeld gives a much better answer to what happened at Reagan International Airport. Let's dive in.
CNN's aviation expert Pete Muntean put it well. He said what he said is not only unprofessional, unpresidential, inconsiderate of the status of the investigation, but it's frankly unhinged. This DEI policy was put into
You agree that was unhinged, what he did?
I think coming out, and the first part when he was reading off the prompter was correct. Whoever wrote it, if it was Stephen Miller or someone else, that sounded like somebody who was actually thinking of the families of the people who had just passed away. And then he had a campaign rally in the middle of what should have been a somber occasion. And these DEI policies were put in place in 2013. He had every opportunity through his first administration to revoke them if they thought they were terrible, but he didn't. And when you talk about staffing issues, sure, the control room is a problem, but you know what else is a problem? That there's no head of the FAA because Michael Whitaker resigned for months. Elon Musk has been trying to push him out since September when he said you should pay a $600,000 fine for SpaceX that they're failing to follow the license requirements. Constantly on him. He knows he's going to get fired. He resigns. We have no head of the Coast Guard. And they have in the first week in office gutted this key aviation safety advisory committee.
Coast Guard.
I'm talking about all the people that take care of us, that make sure that you are safe. They are trying to gut that to install
Biden was
people
taking care of us. Biden couldn't even show up in Palestine for a year.
That's my favorite game that you play. It's not going to work for. Really? I'm talking about the president. You won. And now I'm talking about the president and the people he put into office. He showed up with one message. It's DEI's fault. Then Hegseth says DEI. Then Duffy says DEI. And then J.D. Vance, maybe playing a little bit of cleanup, says, well, if it wasn't DEI in terms of the pilots it's very stressful to work with people when we have these kinds of DEI policies. DEI is not a scapegoat for everything. It is, I get it, for some voters, it's what they want to hear about. But
in a way, DEI is the mirror to the Democrats' argument with racism or climate change. It can be used to explain everything, except unlike racism and climate change, which the left found under every rock, every issue. DEI is indeed under every rock because the Democrats put it there. In fact, you boasted about it. So it's nobody's fault if they are suspicious that it might do damage because we were told how great it was. And then we learned that it was discriminatory. And it's not our fault to wonder, is this playing a role in a lot of the problems that we were seeing in whether it was airplane parts or anything or in the entertainment industry? We saw problems and we're going like, well, this seems to be everywhere. We were told that. So I think the suspicion is fair. It may not be right. This could have been human error. This could have been a malfunction. But the suspicion is always going to be there because it was placed there by your clan, your evil clan.
Always trust Greg Gutfeld to take something that should be very solemn and somber and then make a very unusually appropriate joke about it. Because he's right. The fact that we have been slowly pushing DEI policies since before Trump's first administration, and we didn't see how bad things really were. A handful of people were out there waving the flag saying, hey, there's a problem here. We need to check this out. But yeah, I don't blame the president for being a little bit suspicious that, well, is this the result of some weird DEI hiring principle? Because as we've seen time and time again throughout corporate America, even in Hollywood, we're seeing what ultimately has been co-opted as woke being pushed upon the American people, and audiences are not behind this. And then the corporate side starts seeing that, oh, these DEI hires, they don't know what they're doing. And so ultimately, this attempt to push for these policies end up backfiring, and that's why so many corporations are just completely throwing away their departments, their DEI departments, because they can't wait to be rid of them, because they had to wait and see what the cultural zeitgeist was going to be before they ultimately changed their policies. Target had to be bit in the butt with a boycott. Same thing with Bud Light. And now they're learning the hard way that we don't like this woke nonsense. Okay? We don't like this. And so, in the instance of this tragedy over the Potomac River, See, if you were to look at Reagan International Airport, there's one main there's one main runway, and then there's two off runways. Okay, it's not that big of an airport. Dulles is a little bit bigger. As an Atlanta, not an Atlanta native, but a Georgia native, I definitely know Hartsfield Jackson is much, much bigger. Reagan is kind of tough, and to make matters even worse, apparently it had some of the worst staffing problems in the country. The real reason this tragedy happened, at least to the knowledge that we have so far, was that usually you have one person monitoring each plane as it's coming in, and then you get assigned another person assigned to another airplane. But since their flights were on a similar course, sorry, not on a similar course, but in a similar trajectory, you had one person monitoring each one. And going back and forth between that caused enough of problems for people to not call it out and recognize that there was going to be a collision ahead of time. That's what looks like it actually happened. And so when the president gets up and says that I wonder if DEI was behind this, I don't blame him. Greg Gutfeld explained that in perfect detail. And all Jessica Tarlov is doing here is whining. Okay, that's what this is. This is peak whining. How dare the president criticize something I like when he needs to be a consoler in chief? Okay, that's kind of a fair criticism. I'll give her that. But why are you defending DEI? What is it? What makes it so necessary, Jessica, for you to defend this? I mean, seriously, is that how you got your job at Fox? Because you're the real reason she's on at Fox is because she's the most workable liberal person they could find. And so everyone looks like they have good on-air chemistry with her, even though what she says half the time is complete nonsense. Why are you defending DEI on this? Okay? Corporate America is cutting it to the bone. American moviegoers are just laughing at the Oscars and the nominations. We're looking at this woke nonsense, and just at this point, we're starting to laugh. We've gotten so tired of it that we're making it into a comedy instead of complaining about it and making it into a tragedy. Okay? When is Jessica going to get on board and recognize that this DEI nonsense needs to end? Okay? It is okay to criticize this. Now, we all know that President Trump is going to be boisterous. He's going to be a bit gruff when it comes to these kinds of issues. He's not the kind of consolable person here. But I don't care about that. All right? What I want out of my president is someone who is going to get the job done. We're tired of these speaking well of everything kind of politicians, and we're wanting things to get done because we're seeing things slowly erode in our country that we don't deserve. We don't deserve DEI in our government, and we definitely don't deserve it in our media. And so Jessica is defending this, and I think I need to end this on this idea. She's talking about all these people who left ahead of the Trump administration. You mean to tell me that these people left their positions, then left them unfilled while there's a transition going on in our government? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be absolutely kidding me. That is feckless cowardice, and these people call themselves public servants? The fact that there's been no head of the Coast Guard and the FAA guy has been out for lunch for months now, that is not a duty of service to the United States. That is cruel and unfair. You have a duty in that position to continue working. And the president before Donald Trump, okay, Biden, he needed to fill those positions. That is not public servantry, okay? That is peak selfishness. That's, I think, the worst part about this whole thing. It could have been avoided if there had been a better chain of command structure that got left behind, all because a handful of bureaucrats threw a pity party for themselves and left before new leadership could take over. That is peak selfishness, and it's not what our country deserves. It's definitely not what the people that had to deal with the tragedy at Reagan National Airport deserve. We deserve a good government again. And that's why I simply put, just don't care that Donald Trump said what he said in this issue. I don't care about this. It's time to buckle down and get to work. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.